Hi, it's Cassie, and I am super excited for this week's prompt. It is week 4 of our June kit, and we are going to look at the writing prompt. It is called interpretation. Think of a word and create your journal page to represent that word without using it on the page. So I am taking a little bit of creative license with this prompt because I decided instead of a word, I had a quote that that I've just been like, it's just like been in the back of my brain for a little bit, and I've been really wanting to interpret it into an image for, well, actually for years, but recently when I was thinking about what do I want to do for this interpretation prompt, that kind of popped back in my mind. So this is going to be the first time I'm ever sketching or like putting my idea in my brain onto paper, and so I fully expect it to not be great. This is my first iteration of this, but I expect this to be a large canvas someday because it has been in my head forever. It is a quote from my favorite author of all time, and it is something that has really resonated with me as an artist and just as a human being forever, since I learned about it. So I'll read it to you here. I found it online. So I have it on my phone here, and it says, "The way to create art is to burn and destroy ordinary concepts and to substitute them with new truths that run down from the top of the head and out of the heart." And that is from Charles Bukowski. There's the quote. Really, really, like, really great imagery there, don't you think? Yeah, Charles Bukowski is by far my favorite author of all time. I have a lot of authors that I really love because I love to read and I love that form of expression, but he's my favorite. So I have a plan. We'll see how it goes. Again, this is my first time ever doing this, so I'm just going to work on this. Well, I guess I can do it on this side. I'm just going to work on one piece of paper and see how it goes. I am going to use this to create a pattern in my background a little bit, and then really I'm just going to be working with acrylic paint. So I picked a few colors that I thought I might use, and I'm just going to draw and paint. Okay, so I'll walk you through things as I'm going, but this is what I have chosen to do. You can choose a word, you can choose a quote or a phrase or whatever resonates with you. It could be song lyrics, you know, it could be anything like that. But I would like you to try to represent it with just a visual and not having the word present in the final piece, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's start with this. So I've got an idea in my head. Let's just see how it goes. Okay, I'm excited, and I'm also kind of scared because I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Like, you have something in your head and then you get it down on paper and you're like, whoa, that is nothing like I thought it was going to be. And you know, sometimes you're disappointed. Sometimes, well, I'll speak for me only. Sometimes I'm disappointed. Sometimes I'm like pleasantly surprised. Sometimes I'm a little shocked. So we'll see what happens today. But again, I plan to try this over and over again because I really do want it to be a large piece in my home somewhere, because, and I probably actually will incorporate the words at that point. But for this project and for this lesson, I think you know, I'm going to stick to the rules mostly. I'm gonna blot this because I want it to be a little bit more subdued and not super bright. But yeah, that's nice. I love the color and the pattern. This is a good way to start. Isn't that pretty? Goodness, that's so pretty. I love stencils and sprays for that very reason. It's so easy to get started. This is turquoise from the gloss spray. Okay, so all right, so now I have a background to start with. So like I said, I have the idea in my head, so I'm just going to start drawing it with pencil. And this is just how I go through this kind of process. So yeah, here we go. All right. Okay, so I need a head. I know this much. Okay, so, and it's not going to have a face. So I'm just like lightly sketching kind of where I want things to be, what shape, you know, just a real light sketch, because I'm going to paint over all of this, so you're not even going to see the pencil marks, but just to give myself, you know, something to work with instead of just starting to paint and then, you know, maybe having to, like, correct. Okay, so I've got a head here. It's probably really hard for you to see it in the camera, but I'll bring it up close in a minute. Okay, and I'm going to be super cheesy here and do an actual heart, like a, you know, the fake heart. Okay, and then I'll have stuff coming out of it. Okay, and there's the body. Okay, that's good. And then up here I want, okay, let's see. This is hard. It's in my brain and I don't know how to get it out. Sometimes I just don't know how to get it out, you know? Does that happen to you? I'm curious. Let me know, you know, when you're posting your project or whatever you decide to do. Talk to me about this. You know, have you ever had an idea in your head and you just didn't know how to articulate it or how to get it on paper? And then what did you do to get through it? I mean, that's not really what this prompt is about, but it is for me. And I'm just curious how other artists kind of deal with it and work it out. Or do you deal with it and work it out, or do you just not do it? I don't know. I'm curious. Okay, so what I picture in my head is kind of like these ordinary ideas, right? Like oozing down your head like honey and getting stuck on you. And then you sort of bring them into you, your soul, your being, and you transform them, and then you release them from your heart as these new, fresh, beautiful ideas that have come through you. So that's kind of how I'm picturing it in my head. And so if I get up real close, I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's super faint because I just need barely to have an outline. So I have like the head here, and then let's see if I don't know if you can see it, but there's like drippy, like honey almost, and then the torso, and then a big heart, and then I'm just gonna have like a burst of stuff coming out of it. So that's what I'm thinking. This is a really rough kind of idea, so we'll just see where it goes. All right, so then next I'm just going to use that to paint, and I'm not going to do shading. I'm not going to do anything fancy. This is just me kind of working through the idea in my head, getting it on paper for the first time. Man, I said that's like honey, but then I got dirty lime, so wonder if I should get something a little bit more orange yellow. Okay, I got some yellow submarine. I think I like this better. Yeah, but like the final version, you know, in my brain, the final version will have shading and it will be a lot more refined and nice. This is just sort of my, like, let's just get on paper and see if I can actually bring something to life here. Okay, so then I've got my head here. And, you know, your journal is the perfect place to do stuff like this, right? Because you get to explore and experiment and play. If you have a sketchbook, you know, and you have an idea and you just kind of want to sketch it out, that's also a good place. You know, if you just like have a book that you just draw pictures in and you don't do this other mixed media stuff, but this absolutely can be your sketchbook too. There's no rules about that. Okay, so then the neck part, and obviously I'm going to have to go over this with a couple of coats, but just getting the base idea down here right now. Okay. All right. And that's all going to be like pink. And I'm choosing pink not because of the heart, but because the heart chakra is, I think it's pink, isn't it? No. What color is it? No, it's not. I'm lying. What color is the heart chakra? All I'm thinking of is rose quartz for some reason, and then because that's for love and for your heart chakra. That's what I was thinking of. So that's what I'm doing. I'm picturing rose quartz just flying out of your heart center and spreading all the love. Okay, so there's a person, kind of really loose person. I got my water off to the side here to clean my brush. I'm just using one brush, you know, just, I don't even know what this is, an 8 round, a cheap one though, just a really cheap one, doesn't matter, just playing. Okay, then next I'll move up here while that's kind of drying, and we're going to do the honey part. Okay, ooh, that's a good honey, isn't it? Jan, look at this yellow, girl. This is beautiful. I'm not a yellow person, but this yellow is gorgeous. And see why you know, in the other video from before about the colors, I talked about, you know, all colors have their place, even if they're not our favorite. They've got a space, and they need room to tell their story and to have their, you know, have their place. And I couldn't do this story without this yellow right now. This is beautiful. So definitely love and honor all the colors, even if they're not my favorite to use all the time. Okay, so just doing the honey. So now you can really start to see where my drawing is. And notice I'm using all different kinds of acrylic paint. Doesn't matter. You could even use, if you had a bunch of sprays, or even like ink pads, you smush them on your palette and use them like that. You could use any kind of pigment you want, anything. Okay, so I'm doing really loose here. Got some drips down here. I was thinking of it kind of like hair, but just like honey dripping down. I didn't put any over here, but I should have. So I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna do a little bit more yellow. And it's fun. We don't really play with just acrylic paint and painting that much on paper, but I love doing it. It's very freeing. It's very, you know, it can be very simple if you let it be. You know, don't think about it too much. Don't get in your head about it. Just let it be what it is. And you can have a lot of fun with just some paint and paper, you know. So maybe I'm going to challenge you here. If you've got acrylic paint, maybe give it a whirl. See what you can do with it. Okay, I'm just going over one more time. I am definitely going to have to go over a couple times. I don't know yet if I care if you can see the background through this, again, because this is just my like prototype thing. I'm not sure if I care about you seeing this background pattern. It's kind of cool, actually. We'll see. We'll see how I feel at the end, right? Okay, isn't that cool? It looks like honey dripping down on the head. Okay, I think I'm good with that part. Let's work on the heart part now. And then I'll decide if we're going to try to cover up that background or if we're just going to let it be. Now, if you're doing this and you're like, but I really want to cover up the background, I didn't do it this way. So, because I just wasn't thinking about it. And you know, again, this is part of this process of, you know, just kind of going with it and seeing what happens. If you want to cover up the background, I would say put white gesso in all the spot where you drew your picture. And that'll help cover up more of that background for you. And then you can just paint over the white gesso with your colors. And that should work. That should work. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to go back and do that. But if you're doing the same thing that I'm doing here and you really want to cover it up, then please try the white gesso. See how it goes. I think I'm going to need more of this. So I chose, for this heart part where it's bursting out, I chose rose quartz. Oh, it's called rose quartz. I didn't even know. I chose this metallic pink from DecoArt because I wanted it to be metallic-y and just like shining bright, like taking over, you know. And then I chose this darker pink because it's a nice contrast, and I'm going to do like the outline of the heart with it and then have the burst come through it. So that's what was in my brain. We'll see how it translates. This is fun, huh? I hope that you're enjoying this one. I hope you're thinking about your word. Maybe you've already thought of it while you are watching this video. I'm really curious. Are you going to pick a word? Are you going to pick a phrase? I'm interested. Can't wait. You could pick song lyrics, like I said. You can pick a quote from a book. You could pick a poem. Have you ever read, I don't know if you guys like to read poems, but have you ever read a poem and just like pictured it in your mind, or had a picture of a part of it in your mind? And that's kind of what happened to me here. You know, when I read this quote, I mean, it's been a couple decades actually since I read it, and I've had it in my head ever since, like I wanted to do this thing with it. But anyway, yeah, I've had it in my head forever, and here I am finally getting around to actually putting it to paper, and it's pretty exciting. All right, I need to do the burst. So, well, actually, I was going to say wait till it dries, but maybe it might be nice to have it sort of, yeah, that's kind of cool, huh? Kind of bleed out a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, and I think my final, like, you know, obviously this is my first try at this. My final is going to be way different than this, but this is fun. It's fun. It's really good for me right now to just get this on paper and to think about it and to try it this way and to be like, okay, I like this about it. I don't like that about it. What do I want to do different the next time? You know, just because you have an idea and you do it doesn't mean it's over. You know, you can do it 1,000 times. You can do the same thing until it's the way you want it. But I really love this version because, you know, it's my first one, and I love that I'm finally getting it on paper and that I'm actualizing it, you know. So there are definitely things I'll do differently next time, but so far so good. I'm really loving this process. So I hope it's helpful for you, and that you get to have a good experience with this. So I'm going to go over the face again. I'm going to try to do a second coat here. I really don't think I care if that background's completely covered up, but I do want I want it to be a little bit more pronounced. So I'm just going to do a second coat here. See how it is? It is covering it up a little bit more, which is good. But I do kind of like having that pattern in the background. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that, but it's kind of cool. And I like it. It's like, it's time, right? So it's like time, well, time changes your perception of things. Time, you know, does a lot of things for you, for getting philosophical here. So, I mean, it's always there in the background. It's always hanging out. It's always having its effect on you. So I think it's good to include it here. Okay. I think that's good. Now, most of that now is behind the heart, so that's cool. A little bit more than I wanted. While it's wet, you can definitely always wipe it off. Okay, and then the cool thing about acrylic paint, the reason I kind of want you to try it, one, we don't use it very often in our group here, and I really think we should use it more because it's pretty great. But also, once it dries, it's permanent, so that's nice. Sometimes it's nice to have that layer be permanent. Okay, so let's see. I really do kind of want, it's a little bit tacky, but it's kind of dry, so I am going to take a little bit more of just this and put it over to give some lighter streaks throughout. Okay, so let's get this. I love this paint. It's so cool. Oh yeah, that's good. So now I like that the bottom layer has some of that darker pink mixed in. But then I want to just try and see how it is with just having the lighter pink kind of over top of it. See what I'm doing here? So, yeah, it's fun. Just playing around. Okay. All right. That looks pretty good. I mean, you can definitely still tell that it's a heart behind there. But it's got all the good love energy flowing right out of it. Okay, one more thing. I think I'm just going to go back over my yellow, give that another coat, and then I think I'll just be done. I think I'm done with it. I definitely want to, that's not going to cover that blue very much, but I'm still going to do it. I definitely want to go over this with a black Posca and draw in some details. I think that will be cool because I have some drips up here, you know, like it's going down, and I want to define the drips more throughout the, like on top of the head and stuff like that. And I think that'll help finish it. So that will be my last step. And then we'll be done for today. Like I said, this whole thing is definitely going to go through some iterations. I'm going to play with it some more. I'm going to, I think next time, so just so you know, in case you have anything like this where you're kind of working through something like this, my next step is going to be to take this idea, now that I've made it real, I've started to make it real, and I'm happy with this first pass. The next time I'm just going to get my sketchbook out, which is a whole different book. It's where I have ideas for, like, you know, stencils and stamps and stuff that's in my brain. And definitely this. And I might redraw this, and then I might start to do some doodling or do other things. I definitely want to incorporate this quote into it somehow in the end, so that it's all together and it's like it's in there, you know. But not today. That's not part of this process. So there's that. I'm going to dry this really quick and then do the outline so we can see how that looks. Okay, so now I have it all dry, mostly. That part's not quite dry, but I'm not going to draw there. I'm going to use, am I using my thick one? I don't know. Let's see how I like it. Yeah, it's okay. It's just a sketch, so no big deal. Okay, so I'm going to go around. I love how this honey, whatever, this drippy stuff kind of looks like hair. It's kind of fun. I'm horrible at doing hair on faces and stuff. So it's kind of interesting to me that this worked out to be almost like hair when I'm really not that great at it. Okay, so first I'm just going to go over the areas where I have the color separation. And definitely it's just very sketchy and simple and nothing fancy or you know, all that particularly good. But I'm enjoying it quite a bit. All right. I'm trying to be kind of light-handed with this. I don't want a super thick line, but I don't have a thinner Posca in black at the moment near me, so I'm just using what I have. All right, so let's see. I've got some like honey drips there. I think that's kind of cool. That looks interesting. Let's see, where else? Maybe like a little one right here. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, and then I'll do the face and the neck. Okay, going out here. No shirt on, that's fine. It's fine. All right, and then I'm just going to do like the start of the heart. But then, you know, it's covered up by all this. So I'm just going to do a little bit so we can see it's definitely a heart. And I don't think I want any, well, maybe I do. Yeah, that's cool. Almost, it's kind of comic booky, you know. I was not planning that at all. It kind of turned out to be, yeah, that's wet right there, so I need to be careful. Okay, I like it. I think that looks pretty cool. I like that it has no face. I wanted that very specifically. I like that it's kind of comic booky. I think this is pretty fun. I love the background. I love the color combination. This is a great first start for me. I was really nervous about this because it's been so long in my head, but you know, this just sort of proves to me and reinforces that you got to get it out on paper. Whatever those ideas are in your head, you've got to get them on paper. Just start somewhere. This doesn't have to be the final version. It will not be the final version, but I really like this version. I like it because it's cool looking, it's pop arty, it's fun, but it also is me realizing this and me actualizing it and putting it down on paper and not being afraid and taking that first step. So maybe you don't have anything like this, you know, that's been in your brain for a long time. That's fine. But if you do, I just want to encourage you to get started, to try it, to do the thing, and and see what you get. Okay, see what you come up with. Maybe use some acrylic paints for this project. It'd be really fun, really easy and forgiving. If you put some acrylic paint down, a particular color, and you don't like it, guess what? When it's dry, you paint over it, and you're good to go. You know, because it's permanent, and you can very easily cover over it without any issues. If it's like, let's say you had a darker color, and let's say this was like dark green, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that, I want yellow. I might put gesso over it first, you know, after it's dry, and then do the yellow, just so I'm starting from zero again from the base color. But honestly, you can do anything with acrylic paint. So have fun with it. Enjoy. I hope you like this prompt, and I can't wait to see what you do. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.